There are no teachings here. There are only stories, because it's been experienced that stories have the possibility, often because they're contradictory in nature, to break down the conditioning, the belief systems of our mind, to allow our own knowing to arise. Over the few short days we're together, we're going to explore two questions. And those questions are, what is the love that remains when all the loves of existence have gone? And what is the absence of illusion? In the workshops that we'll gather together, and in the stories to be told, there's the possibility that our beliefs about what love is and what the absence of illusion is may be dropped, so that we have the possibility of experiencing for ourselves that which has been there forever, whatever forever is. So there's a Hindu story that's been told, and it's about that great intellectual Narada, who was a devotee of the god Vishnu. Narada would go to the forest with his flute and compose songs and poems because of his love for the great god Vishnu. Narada, because of the power of his meditations, was able to ascend to the highest of the heavens and meet with Vishnu himself. But one day, when Narada was on a pilgrimage, he happened to stop by a village where, in conversation with a merchant, the merchant could see that he was in the presence of a great being. So the merchant invited Narada back to his home, where the merchant's wife prepared a delicious meal for them. But after the repast, Narada said to the merchant and his wife, "The meal was very delicious, but I sense a great sadness. It was in the food you served." The merchant said to Narada, "Oh, what a perceptive saint you are. It's because my wife and I have been married for decades, but we have no child." "Oh," said Narada, "do you have your horoscopes? Let me see your palms." So the pair, because of the customs of that place, brought out the astrology charts that had been made for them in their youth. Narada studied them, then looked at their palms. Shaking his head sadly, he said, "I see that it is not in your fate. Your karma does not destine you to have children." The merchant and his wife were very sad, but they farewelled Narada, who himself felt great pity for the pair. And soon after he left that village, he sat in meditation, and in his meditation rose up to the celestial heights to confer with Vishnu himself. in conferring with Vishnu, he told the story of the merchant. How great was their piety and their devotion to their faith. Could not something be done to change their fate? But Vishnu said, "Of course not. Narada, you know as well as I do that karma is set, inviolable. It is not in the destiny of this couple to beget children." Narada was sad, but the years passed, and again he was on pilgrimage when he came again to the same village, and remembering the merchant, he sought him out. The merchant welcomed him again as before, and invited him back to his house as before. But when they arrived there, Narada saw that in the garden there were 3 children playing. And he asked, "Whose children are these?" And the merchant smilingly said, "Why, they're our children." Narada was greatly surprised, and he asked the merchant, "How is this?" The merchant said, "Well, so it happened that an old hermit came by our village, and as he was walking down the streets, he said, 1 loaf of bread for a child, 2 for 2, and 3 for 3. The merchant thought to himself, not believing, but still, perhaps there was a vestige of hope, and he invited the hermit back to his house, where indeed he was given 3 loaves of bread. So the hermit told him, "Yes, you will be blessed with 3 children, and you see, indeed, we are." After dining again with the merchant and his wife and his children, Narada left, and not far down the road he sat in meditation again, ascending to the heights and facing Vishnu. "How can this be, when you told me, and it is well known, that fate cannot be changed?" "Ah," said Vishnu, "that being was a great devotee of mine also. He is a Bhakta, and when a Bhakta speaks, the gods must obey." But Narada could not accept this, stating, "I don't understand, I don't understand." Vishnu said, "Wait, let us descend together, and I will demonstrate to you." And so Vishnu and Narada went down to the earthly realms amongst the world of men. But no sooner had they descended, Vishnu clutched at his stomach and said, Oh, I'm dying. One of my devotees has given me some sour yogurt, and my liver is ruined. I need a liver immediately, otherwise I will die." So immediately Narada went off. It happened to be the time of prayer, so the temple bells were ringing. The smell of incense was in the air. So Narada went into the temple, crying, "Please, who will give their liver? And Vishnu needs a liver, he will die." and everyone laughed at Narada, thinking that he was a madman. So Narada went down the street, asking everyone, could they give their liver to the god Vishnu? And they all laughed at him, thinking he was a madman. Narada found himself at the edge of the river, where the fishermen were drawing in their nets. And he asked again, will anyone give their liver for the god Vishnu? He's dying. They all laughed, but then they pointed to a man standing on one leg in the water. They said, he is the only one who would be foolish enough to do so. So Narada went wading into the water. He approached the old man standing on one leg and said, Vishnu is dying. He needs a liver. Without a word, the man took the hand of Narada and guided him back to his hut by the river. They entered. The old man, taking a knife, sat down in lotus position, and as Narada watched, he drove the knife into his stomach, tearing it across as blood flowed copiously down his dhoti. He took out his liver and handed it to Narada. Take this to the god. Narada took the liver as the old man closed his eyes again in meditation. Hastening, Narada came back to where Vishnu stood, finding Vishnu in good health. But Narada handed the liver to Vishnu and said the old man had given his liver for the god Vishnu. Without a word, Vishnu said, this who you have met and who has given his liver to you is the man who gave the children to the merchant you spoke of. He is a bhakta of mine. When a bhakta speaks, the god must obey. No doubt, Narada, you are a great devotee of mine, but your devotion is of your mind. When a bhakta speaks, the gods must obey. What does this story tell us? Looking at stories with their possibility to break down the conditioning, the belief systems that we have so that we can experience for ourselves. Let's see what the coming days bring for us when we ask the question, what is this love that remains when all of human love, the loves that are experienced in existence, no longer have a taste for us, played out, gone. and beginning, because perhaps there will be a chance to come again. What is the absence of illusion? Thank you, thank you.